this is probably a point I wanted to discuss, but I already forgot. I don't know if you've been tracking me, but around December end, we issued a note on how we were very negative on banking because of the liquidity pressure. Like we could all see the banking, the CASA ratios were coming up poor. I had ICICI Bank reach out to me, like my RM obviously reach out to me and offer me a higher interest rate for a 6 month FD than a 5 year or 3 year FD, which is something I had never seen before, right? Now, again, and I think we got very lucky with that call because HDFC Bank came up with bad results and the whole Bank Nifty collapsed for a brief time. Getting back to your question. So see, I'll tell you what is happening now in India, right, is let's understand what the banking sector, like how the banks work, right? Effectively, banks are where we go deposit our money. They give us a lower interest rate, and then they go to businesses and they charge a higher interest rate. Abhi kya ho raha hai na, with equity market flourishing, people like us are investing through mutual funds, ETFs, small cases, people like me, and businesses are going to the equity market to raise capital. Agar aap dekhoge in the past 1 year, 1.5 years, rights ka issue has become very common. Fresh equity issue ho raha hai, PE funds are raising more money, companies are raising more money. So these companies are not going to banks, right? Now what's happened is the way RBI has set up, banks cannot take too much risk. Like, you understand, Yes Bank was the fastest growing bank because it was taking very, very high risk. And then again, it collapsed. So my point is now, ab ho kya raha hai na ki banks will not make real, like average returns anymore. And if we think interest rates will start coming down, that will again pressure banks. So they will get hit from all directions. अब एक और चीज इसमें क्या है ना कि PSU banks probably will continue growing because PSUs, which will go to PSU banks, will still go to banks. Like private companies will come to the equity markets, right? Because again, that's cheaper. Equity prices are really high. अगर आप देख रहे हो तो अभी एक ट्रेंड ऐसा हो गया कि promoters अपने शेयर बेच रहे हैं और वही कंपनी फिर फ्रेश इक्विटी इशू कर रही है फ्रॉम आउटसाइड पीपल. तो बैंक्स के पास ज्यादा ग्राहक होना है. मतलब आप देखो ना, पहले आई रिमेंबर आई न्यू फ्रेंड्स who had 5-7 crore FDs lying around in banks. Now suddenly this money has gone into PMSs, mutual funds, even like debt funds, but it's not parked in an FD, which is which is banks' bread and butter. Like that's what they make their money from. So I think that is that. So we have exposure to a few PSU banks through our portfolios. And I think the issue here is at some point the regulatory system will get relaxed. आप देखो ना, most banks throughout the world, like you look at JP Morgan or BlackRock, these are banks, but they don't make a chunk of their money from normal operations. They don't make money from they don't make a chunk of their money from borrowing and lending. They have 1,000 other ancillaries. But India में क्या है, for some reason, this is State Bank here, right? So State Bank of India has to have a SBI card as a different business to do that one separate division, right? Again, maybe they have the whole parent holding company and all that thing happening, but synergy nahi banti hai. Like they don't have that synergy which is required in my understanding.